Terrence Copper, NFL veteran. It's your boy DC Golden.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Bud Supreme.
DJ Johnson, wide receiver for East Carolina University.
This is Jordan Adams with the Los Angeles Angels.
Packard, baseball player for the Detroit Tigers, and you're watching Good Talk.
Good talk.
Good talk.
Good talk.
It's good talk.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Hey yo, Al, I got you. Hey yo, the butcher coming, nigga.
Butcher coming, nigga.
Look, I got 10 niggas with me, all body catchers.
That's 10 straps and Air Max 97s.
You know why we legends? No. Extra street shit, they watch me stretch it. I put the microwave on 90 seconds. The day my brother died like 9/11. I missed him. He smoked the big one when he took that backseat ride to heaven. She see my watch.
Welcome to the Good Talk podcast.
This wrist got us extras. It's in the pot doing calisthenics. They talk tough talk, but they don't.
I'm him.
All they talk is gunplay, but they don't want no issues. Sat down at a meeting, Montego on the.
I fucked that line up, but it's okay.
Turn a hater to a Hindu. If you used to being broke, then this paper gonna offend you. Niggas either dick ride or they pay for their credentials.
A lot to get through. Yeah, I'm wearing my Braves cap for a reason. I'm a Yankees fan, but I'm wearing my Braves cap for a reason, nigga. 1-0. Fuck the Astros. And it's been that way.
But I'm official. I don't break it cause I ain't brittle. That's real G shit. If you a gangster, I commend you. Cocaine jumping out the pot.
Rubber bands and weight.
Dope fiends walking up the block.
Rubber bands and weight.
6 a.m. but I ain't closing shop.
The other plans can wait.
It's 10 a nigga, yeah, you know my block. The 20 grand a day. Cocaine jumping out the pot. Rubber bands and weight. Dope fiends walking up the block. Rubber bands and weight. It's 6 a.m. but I ain't closing shop. My other plans could wait. It's 10 a nigga, yeah.
Hey, what the fuck was AD doing last night? And that's my problem with that nigga. He's so soft. Nigga 6'11", 270. He going down to the ground like he tore his shit. Stop, nigga.
My man call her home.
Matter of fact, he got buckets. I'll be honest, he got buckets, but nigga, come on, bro.
Legend in the town.
Come on, bro. Come on. Cut that shit out, bro. Cut that soft shit out. We tired of it. As an NBA community, we tired of it.
I played the stoop with the tool in the bushes. First day I met your old lady, she threw me the pussy. Yeah, we real niggas, 100 grand, that's my mother fault. I need another vault, nigga. Yeah, that's hustler talk. In this game of life, it mean death if you come.
Shout out Benny the Butcher.
Doing a stretch for a
whole BSF movement.
Called cocaine jumping out the pot, so you know that my post game standing on this block like Karl Malone. Cocaine jumping out the pot.
Rubber bands and weight.
Dope fiends walking up the block.
Rubber bands and weight.
6 a.m. but I ain't closing shop.
Them other plans can wait.
It's 10 a nigga, yeah, you know my block. The 20 grand a day. Cocaine jumping out the pot. Rubber bands and weight.
Again, welcome to the Good Talk podcast. I am your host, JJ. Welcome. I'm glad you all are here. So happy to be back. If you watched my episode, the episode of the pod Monday, I wasn't too happy. Today, I'm in a much better mood. I'll be transparent. Matter of fact, not too happy. I was pissed off still from the day before. So, you know, it's good to be back in a better mood. Happy to be here. Happy to have the opportunity to be here. So yeah, man. Again, I am your host, JJ. If you don't already follow us on socials, at G2S Good Talk Pod on IG, at Goodies and Two Shoes on IG as well. Twitter at 2_goodies, TikTok at goodies.2shoes. On YouTube, Goodies and Two Shoes. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, I would love if you like the video, drop a comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff, so we can get some of those numbers driven up, get the algorithm in our favor. So again, welcome. Super ecstatic to be here. I told you guys we weren't leaving. And as you can tell, I was serious. We're not going anywhere. We've been dropping content really throughout all platforms all week long since the last time we met up on Thursday. And Thursday actually is our regular recording day. I'm going out of town tomorrow. Deucey Gold performing in Auburn. So if you haven't already, get in contact with somebody that knows more information about that, because that's where we'll be. Auburn Thursday, Atlanta Friday throughout the weekend. So yeah, man. So again, Thursday is our regular day that we usually record, but today is just a tad bit different given the circumstances, and I didn't want to leave y'all high and dry as I have in the past. So here we are. A lot to get through today, per usual. A lot of things to touch on in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're just, I mean, I don't think that it would be far-fetched to say they're not making the playoffs. And that might be a hot take, you know, if that's what you want to call it, I guess. But I really do not foresee this team snapping back into shape, whipping back into shape anytime soon. I really don't. I mean, if we look at their schedule, let's take a look at their schedule. Let's take a look at their schedule. I want to say right now they're third in the AFC West. So already they have an uphill battle. I do have them clipping New York, but then they got to go face Green Bay, Kansas City, Oakland, Dallas, Denver, Oakland again, or Vegas, Vegas is who they are now. But again, Oakland in the span of 4 weeks, Vegas in the span of 4 weeks, Dallas, Denver, Green Bay, Kansas City. So as we progress through the season, it's just seeming like their schedule just gets tougher and tougher. I don't think they make it to the playoffs, but we'll get into a bit of details. We'll get into more details shortly. Again, LA had a game last night. The LA Lakers had a game last night. No LeBron James. Golden State also played. Great matchup between Utah and Denver. It kind of got a little out of hand towards the end of the game, but it was still a good matchup. Jokic went down. So again, we have some stuff to dive into. Take a look at. So we'll go ahead and get started with our Week 7 scores from the NFL. We'll highlight a couple of games from there, and then of course our scores from last night. Last night, the Astros and Braves kicked off the World Series with Game 1 in Houston. Braves stomped the Astros 6-2, immediately taking home field advantage away. Eddie Rosario continues to put Atlanta on his back, went 2 of 5 last night, with a double being one of the 2 hits. Home runs from Jorge Soler and Adam Duvall. For the Braves, some bad news did come out of this win. Starting pitcher Charlie Morton was diagnosed with a fractured fibula. He did leave that game early, I believe in the 3rd inning. And he will not return for the remainder of the World Series. So that, again, the win cost him a little bit. But with that being said, they only have 3 more to go. So they couldn't have started the series off any better, really, in my opinion. And they're in a great spot, so we'll see how that goes. Week 7 matchups to highlight: Titans embarrass the Chiefs 27-3. As stated before in the opener, the Chiefs are completely shot. They're done. We did see Pat Mahomes go out early in that game from a big hit from the linebacker, while one of the D linemen had him by the legs, and then the linebacker came through and ran by, hit him in the head with his thigh. So I believe they say he did pass concussion protocol, but with that, it's just one of those things where I really don't even know what the protocol is, because I've seen Devontae Adams lay out on the field, primetime game, this nigga eyes wide open, stuck, frozen, and they still let him come back into that matchup. So, it's something to monitor with Pat Mahomes. Packers continue their winning ways by beating Washington 24-10. A-Rod every year has to tell us to relax, because every year as an NFL community, as Packers fans, for some of you all, I know that there's an overreaction. This year was when they lost to New Orleans 38-3 Week 1. And he came in and said, listen, if Week 1 is going to tell the whole story for the whole season and everybody's going to continue to overreact, we might as well pack the season up now. And he was absolutely right once again. Since then, I want to say they've won 6 straight. 6 straight. They've won 6 straight. So, the Green Bay Packers are who they've always been, and they will be a threat to the NFC Championship. Raiders stay atop of the AFC West with a 33-22 victory over Philly. The Raiders have won their last 2 games since the dismissal of head coach John Gruden And it's rumored to have been said that a lot of the players a part of that organization weren't too fond of John Gruden. And it's abundantly clear. I want to say they lost their previous 2 matchups when Gruden was there. And then since he's been gone, they've won their last 2. Derek Carr is playing phenomenal football. Again, that's something we'll dive into a little bit later on down the line of this episode. The Bucks blast the Bears 38-3 to maintain the number 2 seed in the NFC. The Super Bowl defending Super Bowl champs, they're here, and they're not going anywhere as well. So the NFC is really, to me, the division to watch this year. It's going to be very interesting to see who comes out. In the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're a threat once again. In the NBA, the Warriors beat the Thunder 106-98 last night. 21-4-4 from Andrew Wiggins, 20-3 from Damian Lee, and 23-6-4 from Steph Curry on 6 of 14 shooting, and just 4 of 9 from 3. Still waiting on that second big game from Curry. He did go for 45 against the LA Clippers, so it's still there. But right now, it just seems as though he's getting his legs under him. With that being said, it's very, very, very interesting that the Golden State Warriors are 4-0. With Steph Curry only having that one big game. That to me speaks a lot about that unit that they've built. And they're going to be a threat. Again, I had way too early from last week, my way too early prediction. I do have Golden State coming out of the West. And if I'm being transparent, I have Golden State winning the NBA championship. I told you last week I had Golden State versus Milwaukee, and I'm taking Golden State. Obviously, it's way too early. We're 4 games into the season. We'll see how it plays out throughout the duration of the year. Spurs fall to the Lakers 125-121 at home. No LeBron for LA, but that didn't seem to have much of an effect against an inexperienced Spurs team. 35-17-4 from AD. 33-10-8 from Westbrook on 56% shooting. And for the Spurs, Jakob Poeltl had a career night, 27-14 on 13 of 17 from the field. Dejounte Murray also added a triple-double for last night, 21, 12, and 15. Again, LA, just one of the main things I want to highlight from that game is AD. I just want him to stop being so soft. And again, that's one of the general consensus among the NBA community. He's soft, bro. And really, down the line, that shit doesn't get it done. It doesn't get it done. I was happy, to see that team come together a bit with no LeBron being on the court. Westbrook had his best game of the year up to this point. I'm going to have to see what the direct correlation of no LeBron and him having a big night actually is. Because to me, that speaks volumes, and we're going to have to see, we're going to have to see what that holds. Because if he just simply cannot get it done with LeBron on the court, then now you have to kind of consider putting him on that second unit. And then is Westbrook, the question becomes, is Westbrook's pride going to allow him to come off of the bench? So that's something to look into. Out to the East we go. The Knicks clipped the 76ers by 13. Great team win, honestly. 16 from Randall, 18 from Fournier, 19 from Kemba, 10 from RJ, 13 from D Rose off the bench. Honestly, it's just beautiful to see team basketball, really. It's a great team win. Everybody involved. The win put the Knicks at 3-1 and third in the East. It is extremely early, but the Knicks look to be, again, one of those teams that will sit at about that 4 or 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. And I believe they will make it past the first round should they continue to play the brand of basketball that they're playing right now. So that's going to be something to watch as well going forward throughout the season. Again, everything pertaining to the NBA that's being said by me, by anybody else in the sports media world, you can take it pretty much with a grain of salt because it's only game 4. We have 78 more games to go. And that is not even to mention that that's just the end of the regular season. We still going to have the playoffs and things of that nature. So, of course, my opinion is going to change. Everybody's opinion is going to change on certain teams, certain players, things of that nature. That's just the nature of the beast. That's sports for you. And I believe that is all we have. For the game of the week last week, we had the Browns and Broncos. I picked the Broncos to win by 6. Unfortunately for me, one of the rare occasions, I ended up losing that matchup. The Browns did get the job done by 3. No Baker Mayfield, of course. So yeah, the Browns they won Thursday night. Going to be interesting to see how that division continues to play up, because to me right now that is one of the best divisions in football. So we'll see. This week the game of the week is the Cardinals and Packers. But unfortunately, with that being said, I have to let you all know, obviously, I'm sure you all have heard the news. I have to let you know, no Devontae Adams and no Allen Lazard for the Green Bay Packers. They have both been placed on the COVID list. So this is a watered down version of the matchup. And this is a matchup that I believe as NFL fans, we really all wanted to see. You have a 7-0 team in Arizona and then a 6-1 team in Green Bay. So this really was going to be a matchup between two powerhouses in the NFC. And now, we get a watered down version of it. But guys will have to step up. It's really just that simple. Guys will have to step up for Green Bay. They still have Randall Cobb, Tunyon. Both their running backs are still healthy, ready to go. Obviously, you can never count Aaron Rodgers out. That's something that we've learned throughout the years. So they still have pieces to get the job done. I believe Valdez-Scantling is going to come off of IR this week, just based on what I've been seeing. He is due to return. Well, actually, this is the first week that he's eligible to return off of IR. And I do believe that he will play tomorrow night against Arizona. But with the injuries to the Green Bay Packers, I have to go with the Arizona Cardinals tomorrow night in Arizona. I have the Cardinals winning by 10. I just think that really Green Bay is just not going to be able to keep up with the amount of points that Arizona is going to put up tomorrow. I genuinely believe that. But we'll see. Anything can happen. A-Rod can go out and prove the world wrong once again. It wouldn't be the first time that he's done it, and I'm sure it won't be the last. So we'll see. But again, for the sake of the segment, I do have the Cardinals by 10. Something new I want to do is highlight not necessarily the game of our game of the week, but a game to watch, because whether it be for the race within their division, whether it be a matchup specifically if we have two NBA rookies going up against each other, something like that. So a game to watch this week is going to be the Steelers versus Browns. Again, we just touched on just a little bit, extremely slightly, we touched on that division with the Steelers, Browns, Cincy, and Baltimore. That division, again, that is, matter of fact, I'm not even going to say one of. I'm going to say that is the toughest division in football. It is. Everything is still extremely close. Let me take a look real quick at the standings for the AFC North. So we have the top two teams, Baltimore and Cincinnati, at 5-2. We have Cleveland at 4-3, and we have Pittsburgh at 3-3. So again, everything is still relatively close. I mean, anything can really happen in this, in this division still. So this is the matchup, again, I want to highlight. Pittsburgh versus Cleveland this week. That is definitely a game to watch with some early playoff implications. So we'll see how both of those teams respond. I want to say Pittsburgh has won their last 2 in a row. They had a bye last week. So that's going to be interesting. They had 14 days to prepare for the Cleveland Browns. So we'll see. What's on the docket next? Let's get into some sports news. Let's see what we have here. I did mention earlier, Jokic left last night's game with a right knee contusion. So that's not, it's trouble in paradise already. That is 1,000% undeniably the best player that the Denver Nuggets have. I did see a report that did say that he avoided any structural damage, so it's not like a torn, ACL or anything like that. But now the thing is going to be, he's so big. Big guys already have an issue with their knees and things of that nature, so it's going to be interesting to see how the Denver Nuggets allow him to progress through this injury and to see how much time he'll miss, because with the Western Conference, you don't want to drop too far down. Even though it's only game 4 in the Western Conference, you don't want to drop too far down because that conference is so deep. So for the Denver Nuggets, the mindset really should be, okay, we know he's going to be out for, 10, 15 games. How do we get wins in that span of time? Because should you lose 8, 9, 10 of those 10 to 15 games, you're in a very, 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 very difficult position. So we'll see how that goes. NFL trade deadline is November 2nd, and I did touch on this specific player a little bit Monday, just as it pertained to the Carolina Panthers. But with that being said, once again, the NFL trade deadline is November 2nd, and the heat on the Texans to move Deshaun Watson has been ramped up. Last week, it was being reported that Miami had a deal that was the favorite to win on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. It seemed as though they were extremely close to a deal. It seemed as though they only had a couple more details to work out. Then you fast forward Sunday, the Carolina Panthers name is back are back on the table. They're back in on the sweepstakes. Then you go to Monday, Tuesday. Now you're seeing all of these teams, i.e. the Philadelphia Eagles and others, that have reached out to the Houston Texans about making a move for Deshaun Watson. Ian Rappaport reported that he would be eligible to play, and I do believe that the NFL league office released a statement saying, we just simply don't have enough details on this case. So for that matter, or excuse me, because of that, he will not be placed on the commissioner exempt list. So if the Texans are able to move Deshaun Watson to one of these other teams, that is going to be an issue. Now, again, I'll reemphasize a point that I made Monday. What is going to be the asking price? What's going to be the asking price? And does making a move for him take you out of playoff contention? Because we still have 10 games remaining in the year. So all teams still have the ability to make it, with the exception of Detroit, New York Jets, teams like that. You're really bottom feeder team, so to speak. But does making a move for Deshaun Watson take you out of playoff contention? And again, go check out the podcast that I did Monday, a Week 7 review of the Carolina Panthers matchup with the New York Giants. I am a Carolina Panthers fan, so I was not happy at all. Like I said, I'm blessed to be in a better mood today, because Sunday afternoon from about 2:30, 3 o'clock, because that's really when my anger began, all the way up until about Monday night, I was unhappy. So I'm glad to be back in high spirits. So again, Deshaun Watson and the pressure on the Houston Texans to move him has been ramped up as we approach the NFL trade deadline. Speaking of the matchup between the Carolina Panthers and the New York Giants, Giants safety Jabril Peppers was placed on IR yesterday with a rupture to his ACL and a high ankle sprain. That's just really unfortunate news, man. Jabril Peppers, he's a stud, one of the best players that the New York Giants have on their roster. So unfortunately for them, he will be unavailable for the remainder of the season. And now the key is going to be going ahead and starting that rehab process for next year. Again, unfortunate news for the safety in New York. So let's take a look at some of the stories that we have this week. AFC matchup, the AFC North matchup for the top spot between the Bengals and the Ravens. I'll go through just a couple of stats on that game, and then we'll take a look at some other things, because it's very possible, and I'm guilty of this myself. It's very possible that we got too high on the Baltimore Ravens. And I know some of y'all are gonna say, "Listen, it's only one game, you know." For Lamar, he only had one bad game. But to me, it's a deeper, darker, because the issue arises now on why the defense, in particular, for the Baltimore Ravens, A, is so inconsistent. B, why they allowed, you know, they're supposed to have this all-pro first, second team cornerback and Marlon Humphrey. If that's the case, and he is as cut as they try to tell us he is, why in the hell does Jamar Chase do what he does on Sunday? 8 catches for 201 yards for him, and to go along with the touchdown. 41-17 was the final out in Baltimore. The Bengals obviously did pull that win out, and really just an ass whooping. Simply put, if I'm just being honest, there's no other way to put it. It was just an ass whooping. Again, 8 catches, 201 yards from Jamar Chase with a touchdown. For Joe Burrow, 416, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. The O-line only allowed 1 sack, so that was a positive for Cincinnati. Tight end, I cannot pronounce his name, number 87. Y'all know who I'm referring to. 3 catches, 91 yards, and 2 touchdowns for him. For the Ravens, just an atrocity. Just an atrocity. They allowed 5 sacks on Lamar Jackson. And people will try to highlight his performance only because he went 15-31. They'll try to highlight his performance like he was the problem. But when in all actuality, if you have somebody running for their life the entire game, they're just not going to be able to get shit going. They're not. And that's what we saw. 15-31 from Lamar, 257 with a touchdown, no interception. So he was able to hold on to the football in that respect. 12 rushes for 88 yards as well for Lamar. Hollywood Brown, 5 catches, 80 yards and a touchdown. Bateman, the rookie, 3 catches, 80 yards. Mark Andrews, 3 for 48. And that is really all there is to highlight as far as stats go in that particular matchup. But like I said, listen, for the Baltimore Ravens, their offensive line has to do a better job. For Cincy, it's the same way. But then I have to put the accountability on Baltimore. And that's who I really want to highlight with this specific story. I have to put the pressure again on Baltimore and pose the question, why is the defense so inconsistent? I want to say the first half I saw Joe Burrow running, trying to escape the pocket, or not even trying to escape the pocket, because he got out of that bitch. He got low. He got low and got out of that bitch. But if you're looking at the Baltimore Ravens and their D-line, and even, matter of fact, their defense as a whole, really, why can't we secure the job? We're getting through the line. I mean, some of these guys, they had clear shots on Joe Burrow. Couldn't secure the sack. So he was running for his life. But then once you break the pocket as a quarterback, shit starts to break down defensively on the other end or on the back end. And that's what we saw. That's what we saw. Again, I want to pose a question. Did we get too high on Baltimore? I'll pose the question. Y'all can answer it. Again, DM me. However you want to go about it. Call me, text me, whatever. To ask the question, did we get too high on Baltimore? I'll give you my answer. I want to hear you all's. I do not believe that we got too high on Baltimore. I think that this was one of those games that, you know, kind of flew under the radar as it pertains to, you know, national coverage, so to speak. But the Cincinnati Bengals are a good football team. Joe Burrow is playing at an elite level. Jamar Chase, you can pretty much wrap Offensive Rookie of the Year up in a bow and deliver that shit to his house tomorrow because he ain't stopping. He's not stopping. So, again, I do not believe that we got too high on Baltimore. I see guys on First Take, you know, other podcasts that I listen to, you know, The War Room in particular with Terrence Copper and Big E. I see guys just giving up on Baltimore and Lamar Jackson and really, to me, just overreacting to this loss. Listen, we're only 7 weeks into the season. So guys have time to get it right. Now, I know every time it seems as though the Baltimore Ravens have a big game, they fail to come up. They fail to play to the level or to the standard that is required to win those big games. I know it's been the story the past 2 or 3 years for the Baltimore Ravens. I think this Baltimore Ravens team is a bit different. I do. I'm not going to overreact to this loss because I do think that Lamar Jackson will come back next week because they are on a bye this week. I do believe that he'll come back and he'll respond, and I think they'll win their next game. So then you're just looking at a 6-2 team. And then just like that, we forget about, you know, the ass whooping they received last week. But we'll see. We'll see, because that AFC North, again, you can only afford to make but a few mistakes. Because Cleveland and Pittsburgh are not too far behind. And now I know, you know, with all the injuries that Cleveland has suffered through, with Pittsburgh, you know, the question of Ben Roethlisberger still being the starting quarterback. Is he able to get the job done? But with those things being said, they're still winning football games. Both of those teams are still winning football games. Both of those teams have people that have stepped up and risen to the occasion. So you can only afford to make a couple mistakes throughout the duration of this NFL season. So with what I said about Baltimore and us overreacting, I can counter that and say, don't let that shit happen again. Because if it does, then your ass might be in trouble. Because I want to say they still have to play Cleveland twice. Let's take a look at the Baltimore Ravens schedule, and we'll take a look at the Bengals schedule as well. Let's see. For the Ravens, again, they are on a bye this week. So their next matchup will be against Minnesota, Miami, Chicago, and Cleveland. So you have a span of games right there, realistically, where the Baltimore Ravens could win the next 4 or 3 out of the next 4. So then, you know, again, we're looking at last week's matchup like it's history, you know, something that happened way in the past, because 4 weeks in the NFL is a long time. The next 2, however, and this is the part of the schedule that kind of makes me a bit nervous for the Baltimore Ravens and what they're trying to do. So I did say they have Minnesota next week because they are on a bye this week. Minnesota, Miami, I think that those 2 games are going to be exceptionally easy for them. I think that they handle both of those teams handily, easily. I think they just miss both of those teams without really an extreme amount of effort. But then this is where shit gets a little iffy, because you go Chicago or excuse me, you go, you go Chicago, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, which we know the rivalry that is. So I'm not putting it past Pittsburgh to clip Baltimore at least one time this year. Again, Chicago, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Green Bay, Cincinnati, and then the LA Rams. So for the Baltimore Ravens, listen, bro. You can't make too many mistakes, because that back half, that bitch. Hey, listen, again, I see 2 guaranteed wins on that. After them 2 guaranteed wins, we go Chicago, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Cleveland again, Green Bay, Cincinnati, the Rams, and the Steelers again. That's tough. That's tough. We'll see how how Baltimore responds to the loss that they took at the hands of the Cincinnati Bengals last week. Let's see for the Bengals. Let's see what they have. For the Bengals, things aren't really any more easy, I guess I can say. But then again, it kind of is. They go New York, Cleveland, which I think they'll beat Cleveland handily. I don't think that Cleveland poses a threat to the Cincinnati Bengals in that particular matchup. But they go New York, Cleveland, the Jets, Cleveland, Vegas, Pittsburgh, Chargers, Niners, Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs, Browns. So really, I mean, if I'm just being honest, both teams sitting at 5-2. The Baltimore Ravens have the more difficult schedule, and the Cincinnati Bengals already have an upper hand on them to win the division because they won their matchup Sunday afternoon. So we'll see. We'll see. Again, that is going to be the division to watch to me, the AFC North, with Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Cincinnati. Breaking news: Khalil Mack did suffer an injury last week, being reported by Ian Rappaport that he is not expected to play this week. The team is letting his foot rest, but there is a possibility that the Chicago Bears place Khalil Mack on IR. Do we feel as though the Las Vegas Raiders are a legitimate threat to win the AFC? For me personally, I do. And I might be a little biased just because I've enjoyed watching the Raiders play the past 2 or 3 years. One of my favorite players, Jonathan Abram, safety for them. One of my favorite players in the league. Obviously, he is a part of that team. So maybe I'm a little biased. But, I mean, I think that the results to me personally is really hard to deny. Let's take a look. They did win last week. Again, they have won their last 2 games since the dismissal of head coach John Gruden. There are rumors swirling around that the team was not too fond of John Gruden. And right now, their effort on the field is seeming as though they're trying to prove a point to us and Gruden that they never needed him to begin with. And that's something that, you know, that's something as a team, when you can rally around one thing, a singular moment, when you can rally around around one thing as a team and as a collective to try and accomplish a goal, a lot of the times those goals will be accomplished because everybody is on the same page with trying to make that statement and trying to prove that point. 33 to 22, excuse me, against the Philadelphia Eagles last week. That game was played in Vegas. The previous week they beat the Denver Broncos by 10. And again, John Gruden's last matchup that he was a part of and was a head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders was against the Chicago Bears, in which the Raiders lost that matchup 20-9. And this is after the emails released. The first email. So yeah, man, I do believe that the Las Vegas Raiders are a problem. And I do believe that they should be viewed as a threat. Because we saw week 1, week 2, they competed with Baltimore all the way, all the way through overtime. Took overtime to decide that game. Week 1, 33-27 in overtime. They've already clipped Pittsburgh, which was somebody that we highlighted in the AFC North, and how they'll be able to get it going moving forward. Clip the Dolphins, which that's not saying much. It took overtime to clip the Dolphins. So that is kind of worrisome, so to speak, something to highlight. But they still won the football game, and they still got the job done. Then the following week, they proceeded to get their ass beat against the Chargers 28-14. Took the loss again in John Gruden's last game, 20-9, and then once again have won their last 2 games against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Denver Broncos. Looking forward, just a couple games. We'll just look at 4 of their games. November 7th, so not this week, but next week, because the Raiders are on a bye this week. November 7th, they'll square off against the New York Giants. Then the following week, they'll go see Kansas City will come to Vegas. Then they have to play Cincinnati, Dallas, and Washington. So they have the opportunity to prove in the next coming weeks that they are a force to be reckoned with. They do. They do. So we'll see. Again, I do believe that they're a threat. Josh Jacobs has been inconsistent as it pertains to his health this year. We never know coming into the game if he'll be healthy, if he'll be a go or a scratch. So if the Raiders can go ahead and sit him, do whatever they need to do to get him healthy with the way that Kenyon Drake is running the football, and now you have that dual threat of Drake or Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller being the stud that he is, Derek Carr playing phenomenal football. I want to say he's thrown for 12 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. So that's another thing, a little over 2,200 yards. So solid quarterback play. It's not next level, but it's solid. It's solid. And then you have a defensive line, or just a defense as a whole, really, led by Max Crosby, who continues week in and week out to prove to the NFL and fans alike that he is a top defensive lineman in the NFL. And to me, that's undeniable. Undeniable. Let's take a look at his stats. Let's take a look at Max Crosby's stats. To go along with him, obviously you have Carl Nassib. And then you have the leading tackler in the NFL, and Denzel Perryman as well. So really, to me, there's no way that I can sit here and tell y'all that the Las Vegas Raiders aren't a threat to win the AFC. Because to me, really, the AFC is wide open. I'll be honest, because we all came into the season assuming and thinking that Buffalo and Kansas City were shoo-ins for the AFC Championship game. And I mean, it was kind of a pick 'em at that point. Just based on what we saw last year, I'm going to say a majority of us would have went Kansas City. But with Kansas City playing as shit as they are right now, with the AFC North being so wide open with Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, the Buffalo Bills, obviously, they're still at the top of that. But to further my point, everything is so open in the AFC. To me, there's no real clear favorites on who's going to come out of the AFC. So it would just simply be delusional to just go ahead and dismiss the Raiders for whatever reason, just because they're the Raiders. I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that we can do that. I really do not. So keep your eye on the Las Vegas Raiders to make some noise in the playoffs. Now, they have a tough stretch over the next 4 or 5 weeks. But if they can get that done, if they can win 2 or 3 of their next 5 games, I think they're in a very, very good position. I really do. And if they can get that job done, if they can win 2 or 3 out of their next 5 games, and they continue to be consistent, you know, I'm not saying that they're going to win out, anything like that, but they continue to play consistent, and they're able to slip into the playoffs, I think somebody's getting clipped. I think somebody's getting clipped because I just know that just like us, I know that a lot of these NFL teams, players, and coaches are dismissing the Raiders as a non-factor. And to me, I think that that's unfair, and I think that that type attitude gets your ass beat when it's winning time. And now I think that the Raiders are out to prove a point and to make a statement to the world that they're not bitches, they never needed Gruden, and they still don't need Gruden. And I think that that's the mindset that they're approaching every game with, week in and week out. I do. So something to keep your eye on there. And I did want to go over Max Crosby's stats. 5 sacks on the year. Let's see. 10 solos. And 8 assists. So, you know, sitting at 18 tackles and 5 sacks. You know, so again, he's proven that he is one of the top defensive linemen in the NFL. Because those just aren't your everyday stats, really. The 18 tackles, yeah, that's pedestrian, but 5 sacks on the year and 7 games, I mean, shit. That's tremendous if you ask me. That gets a lot of niggas paid, honestly. Because then you're looking at about 12 and a half, 13 sacks on the year. So, you know, again, something just to keep your eye on. Don't sleep on the Raiders. Don't sleep on the Raiders just because they don't get a lot of national coverage. You know, we all want to talk about the debacle of Kansas City. You know, the Tennessee Titans, they made a statement this week. They made a statement this week. 2 tough matchups back-to-back because no matter how much we want to dismiss the Chiefs, it's still a tough matchup because you're going against Pat Mahomes. 2 tough matchups back-to-back, playing against 2 of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL, and Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes. First, you knock off Buffalo. Then the following week, you knock off Pat Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. So they're a team that will be a threat as well. And really, I want to go ahead and address my top 5 list from each conference, from each conference, Because last week I still had Kansas City in my top 5 just simply because, you know, I said they got Pat Mahomes, they got Tyreek, they got Trav, they got Andy Reid. The defense is still horrific, but I still do believe that they're still a top 5 team in the AFC. This week, no, they're done. They're done. And I'm going to go ahead and replace Kansas City with Cincinnati. As much as I want to put Vegas on that list, I cannot do it yet. I think that they're sitting at about 6 or 7. But Cincy, on the other hand, yeah, they're the real deal. They're the real deal. Breaking news from around the NFL. And this shit, see, like, bro, I've tried to be in a better mood today. I really have. Breaking news per around the NFL and per Ian Rappaport. Quote, Panthers not expected to pursue Deshaun Watson trade at this time. Ian Rappaport then goes along to say this coming offseason, perhaps, but does not appear in the cards right now. So, I mean, fuck. I guess we're rocking out with Sam Darnold, bro. And I'm not going. This isn't a Panthers podcast. Today is not the day for that. Tune in on Mondays if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, or if you just want to hear, you know, some Carolina Panthers content. Tune in on Mondays when we do our week by week review. But I really don't know what the hell is going on, bro. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm just confused at this point. I'm confused because last Thursday, we were out of trade talks. You know, then Sunday we get embarrassed by the fucking Giants 23-3. You know, an hour after the game, we're back in trade talks. And now the Panthers do not expect or are not expected to pursue the Deshaun Watson trade at this time. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. I do know if I had to sit through a whole year of Sam Darnold being our starting quarterback, I mean, y'all just call me and check on my mental health. Honestly, that's the only thing I can say, bro, because it's stressful. It's stressful having to watch that shit product week in and week out. It really is. And really, I mean, I don't see a move for anybody else because there's nobody else that's going to be on the trading block in week 8 that's going to change the direction of your franchise, that's going to result in wins. There's nobody else that's going to, you know, be available. So now you're either telling me, A, you're rocking with Sam Darnold, which Carolina Panthers fan community will make it abundantly clear to you that shit is we're not going for that shit. And it'll be abundantly clear in 2 weeks when we go back to the crib, when we go back to BOA. Because nobody's going to be at that bitch. Nobody. The season ticket holders, and that's about it. You couldn't give away Carolina Panthers tickets right now. God honest truth. You can't. So, A, you're sticking with Sam Darnold. Or B, which I think that this is so far-fetched. B, you're trying to make a play for Cam Newton to come back to Carolina. As much as I would love to see Cam Newton return, he is simply not the Cam Newton of old. And that doesn't mean I turn my back on him. That doesn't mean I feel any other way towards him. But he's just simply not the Cam Newton of old. One of my favorite athletes of all time. He just does not have that. And again, we put that responsibility, for me personally, the reason why he is the way he is now and not going into year whatever, 10, 11, 12, as a top-ranked quarterback still, is because of the way that the Carolina Panthers mismanaged him, mismanaged his body, mismanaged his injuries. Let him dictate when he was going to play, what injuries he was going to play through, right? So, of our own fault, Cam Newton is no longer the player that he once was. And so to me, if we're in a win now mentality, which I don't know if that's the case or not, because I'm about damn near borderline saying we might as well just go ahead and tank this bitch. Honestly, and just try to get an O-lineman. Because really, Cam Newton just simply can't be the play. And I love Cam like the next man. I really do. I really do. But that just, I mean, that's just not the play, bro. That doesn't result in wins. Asses in seats? Absolutely. W's on the field? I don't know. And I only say I don't know just out of respect for Cam Newton. Because I love him that much. Because if it was a nigga I didn't fuck with, I would say fuck no. And that's just me being honest, bro. So it's looking like, really, just based on the front office and who they've kind of showed me to be, I don't think that we're a team that's going to swallow our pride and even reach out to Cam Newton. And I don't believe that even if we did, I do not believe that Cam Newton would be able to swallow his pride on his side and re-sign as a Carolina Panther. And for me personally, if I was in Cam Newton's position, they would know. Don't even fucking waste your time calling my phone. Because I really might come to the stadium and cause somebody harm just for you disrespecting me and calling me after you did me the way you did. So, Sam Darnold it is. I mean, Jesus Christ. Moving on. Let's go ahead and go with the song of the week so y'all can take a break from hearing my voice. This week's song of the week, just because it's all I've been spinning, bro. Really, all I've been spinning is the new Young Thug project. So, yeah, you get Young Thug music. Song of the week this week is Yeah, Yeah, Yeah by Young Thug. Again, that was Yeah, Yeah, Yeah by Young Thug. I mean, like I said, it's all I've been spinning is Young Thug's album, really. So that's what you get. That's what you get from me. All right, let's move on real quick. I'm coming to a close here. Last week I presented the question. We're gonna jump into our mailbag section. Our mailbag segment of the pod. Last week I posed a question, and this was for the mailbag this week. I posed a question on IG. I also asked it on the pod numerous times. I gave you what I thought. So I gave you all the opportunity to respond to my question. And my question was simply, why did the Chiefs suck? Just being as you know, as straightforward as possible. Why did the Chiefs suck? And I got a couple responses that I'll go over. From Zach, defense is just simply ass out, Pat getting too cute, and the distraction that Jackson Mahomes presents. Now, I don't know about the last part of that because, I mean, I don't think that he's too much of a distraction. But then again, you may have a point because we did just see the nigga, you know, doing a dumbass TikTok on Sean Taylor's number 21 when a Washington football team retire his number or retire his jersey. We saw him in week 2 against the Kansas City Chiefs, against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, getting into it with the fam, throwing water on them and shit. So maybe that is. The defense is definitely ass out. All you have to do is just turn on one of their games and just watch it for 5 minutes, and you'll see that the defense is just complete shit. They have no pieces. Only piece that they have is Honey Badger. Other than that, they have nothing defensively. No guys that'll take the challenge, rise to the occasion, and make a play, make a big play. When you have a defense like that, shit is just simply not going to get done. So, yeah, the defense is ass out. Pat is getting too cute. He currently leads the league in interceptions with 9. So, yeah, he's getting too cute, and he's trying to do too much. So, Zach, I would have to agree with you there. From Kenny, quote, early overreaction. Great teams don't peak until later in the season. Kenny, unfortunately, you're just wrong about this one, brother. You're just wrong about this one because you're right. Great teams don't peak until later in the season. Quote, great teams don't peak until later in the season. You're right. They don't. But great teams also, give you something to watch. They put some good moments on film. And with the Kansas City Chiefs, those some great moments are just a complete bare minimum. And they've gotten blasted, embarrassed last week against the Tennessee Titans. Lost a tight game against Baltimore. So that when they're playing top teams in their conference, it's resulting in losses. So what am I to think? Again, they do have the Giants coming up. We'll go over their schedule one more time just real quick so we can get to this last mailbag response, and then I'll go to some of the questions that you all had for me. New York, Green Bay, Vegas, Dallas, Denver, Vegas again. If you listen to that stretch, to me, there's only one guaranteed win. And that one guaranteed win comes on November 1st, Monday Night Football against the New York Giants. After that, I see, okay, so that's one loss. And then that's one win against the Giants. And then I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As a matter of fact, I won't even be disrespectful and give Denver that win just off rip. So just for the sake of the argument, I'll give you 2 out of the next 6. And that puts you at what? 2 out of the next 6. So that's 4 losses. I believe they're already at 4 losses. So that's 8 already. And 2 wins. And they currently have 2 wins. Let me see what their record is. Let's see. 3 and 4. So 8 losses and 5 wins. So that puts you at 5 and 8 over your next 6 games. They're done. They're done. It's just that simple. Another quote. I did not get the name of this person, but they say, quote, it's simple. Defenses around the league have more film on them. And you know what? That could be a reason too. That could be a reason too on why the Kansas City Chiefs suck so bad this year. Maybe, defenses just around the league have caught on to what they do. Again, I made the point last week that I think that teams are just simply getting more physical with them. And this past week, that was apparent. That was abundantly clear to me. They knocked Pat Mahomes out. Like legitimately, he's on the ground, eyes wide open, stuck. Knocked his ass out. Teams are just getting more physical with them. Teams are not afraid of this Kansas City football team anymore. And to me, it's abundantly clear. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are done. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs missed the playoffs. And then I think that it's time to reevaluate a couple of things on that team. I do. Now, that's just me. Quickly to some of the mailbag questions you guys had for me, and I'll go into a little bit, just a little bit of detail, and then we'll move on and we'll close up. We'll wrap up here. See if I can get these pulled up. All right, here we go. Okay, who will win the AFC North? Number one, who will win the AFC North? For me, I think that the Baltimore Ravens will win the AFC North, but it would not surprise me if Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, in the way that those two have connected, or should I say reconnected, the way that they're playing right now, it would not surprise me if they ended up pulling that division out and winning the AFC North. But for right now, my answer is the Baltimore Ravens. How would you handle the situation in Carolina? I don't know. Because you have so much money tied up now in certain places that it necessarily shouldn't be in. There just seems to be, so much going on bad that it's just like it would take me a whole nother podcast to go into detail. Joe Brady and Matt Rule. So to answer your question, if I'm just going to give you a brief answer, address the quarterback issue, because Sam Darnold is not going to get the job done for you. Number two, reevaluate your coaching staff. And that is the answer that I think starts you off in a better direction than you're currently in. Best trade destination for Deshaun. Well, I mean, if I was going to be honest, then I was going to say Carolina, just because I don't think that they would have moved on from Christian McCaffrey, just because he's so valuable. I don't believe that they would have had to, if we were going to go the route of first round picks, I don't believe that we would have had to give up anything too crazy that changes the complete dynamic of your defense. I don't think that we would have had to give up anything on that side of the football that changes that whole unit, so to speak. So if I was going to be honest with you, I would have said Carolina. But now that we've gotten a report that Carolina is no longer in the sweepstakes for this year, I mean, I guess Miami, just because they are a young team. They have a really solid offensive line. A lot of young players. Flores, I believe he's a phenomenal coach. I hate the fact that, they lose at the pace that they do. Because they're always in these tight games, these close games where they compete all the way throughout, the entirety of the game, and they just can't seem to get it done. But I still think that he's a phenomenal coach. So if I'm just being, if just by a process of elimination here, I would have to say the Miami Dolphins. Because I think that Deshaun Watson would have the ability to turn that franchise around. And I think that if they land him, I think that they immediately start to win football games with the wide receiver core that they have, with the defense that they have, and with the head coach that they have. I think that at this point, due to the fact that Carolina is no longer in the sweepstakes for Deshaun Watson, I do believe the best trade in that destination for Deshaun Watson is the Miami Dolphins. What quarterback 25 and under would you take if you were starting a new franchise? Just quickly, I won't go into, I won't jump into it. And I'm not going to necessarily give you a direct answer. I'm not going to, what I'll say is it would be between two. It would be between two, Lamar or Josh Allen. I think from a pure, if I want to put, it depends on what I'm trying to do with my franchise. If I want my team to be extremely marketable, if I want my team to be fun, if I want my team to be, if I want to put asses in seats, if I want the fireworks, I would go Lamar Jackson. Now, if I want, a guy that I know is going to be a great leader, a guy whose evolution that we've seen right in front of our eyes, a guy that puts me in the best position to win a Super Bowl at this very moment, I would say Josh Allen. But again, it's just dependent. It's just dependent on what direction I want to take my franchise. So that's something that I would have to sit back and think about if that were the case. But it would be between those guys, either Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I know a lot of people are going to say Kyler Murray, but Kyler Murray's size is really a factor to me that would prohibit me from going him. And then, of course, his ability to stay healthy as well. So Josh Allen or Lamar, to answer that question. Quickly through these last through these last two, where's Aaron Rodgers going next year? If I just was going to throw out a random team right now with no context at all, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And last but not least, are the Chicago Bulls contenders? I would have to say they are. They're 4-0. They sit at the top of the East right now. You know, Lonzo, DeMar, Zach LaVine, Caruso, those guys, very, very young team, but they have a lot of energy. And they're showtime, really. First 4-0 start for the Chicago Bulls since the 96-97 championship team. So, yeah, I would have to say that the Chicago Bulls are contenders. I would have to say that. If you have questions for me, DM G2S Good Talk Pod, DM Goodies and Two Shoes, DM me at the myth of _JJ. Text me, whatever you may have you. If you want to hear your question featured in our mailbag segment, shoot me some questions, and we will go from there. Now, for you all, mailbag question, and I'll put a poll out, just like I did last week. I'm going to ask you all the same thing that one of you asked me. Who will win the AFC North? Will it be Baltimore? Will it be Cincinnati? Will Pittsburgh or Cleveland, make things interesting and take the lead at some point throughout the season? So that for you all this week will be the mailbag question that I posed to you through Instagram on the pod page. Actually, I'll post it on each of the pages, and I will read your responses up here. So I'm going to ask, who will win the AFC North and why? Please keep it minimal to about a sentence or so, so we can read some of these and get through it. Let me check and see. I do believe that is all I have for today. Last thing. Best thing I saw this week was the Atlanta Braves securing their spot in the World Series for the first time since 1999. Take a listen.
Here's a 1-0. And on the ground, Swanson, he's got it to his feet, throw to first. There it is! The Atlanta Braves are going to the World Series!
So that was the best thing that I saw. And again, Atlanta did kick off the World Series last night in Houston and took a 1-0 lead, immediately snatching home field advantage away from the Astros. So yeah, man. That is, I believe that's all that I have for today. I do appreciate you all as always, for being with us, supporting the movement. A lot of big things coming up. Listen, I mentioned the breast cancer awareness drop last week. Again, 10% of all of those proceeds will go to breast cancer research, to the Breast Cancer Foundation. We have, I want to say, from what I'm looking and seeing right now, I want to say we have about 4 or 5 shirts left. I think that only one is a large, and I think that the rest are smalls. So if you missed out on this drop, I do apologize. What they say, closed mouths don't get fed, whatever the fuck. Listen, product be moving, man. What y'all want me to say? What y'all want me to say? But again, I do appreciate y'all supporting the movement. This is a drop that meant a lot to me. I have seen people in my family be affected by this disease. So it did mean a lot to me, and it meant a lot that we are in a position to make a difference and make an impact with something, or make an impact on something that means something that means so much to us. So grateful to have that opportunity. Grateful to have you all as listeners, as viewers, if you're watching on YouTube. And yeah, man, we'll be back next week. Not sure if I'll release the Panthers review Monday or Tuesday, but that will be out. I am going to the game in Atlanta. Dear God, help me. I will be extremely intoxicated, because I think that that's the only way that I'll be able to get through another one of their games with Sam Darnold as a starting quarterback. So yeah, if you see me in the city, say what's good. If you see me in Auburn, say what's good. Fuck with me. Maybe we can fuck around and get you on the pod. Maybe we can get you in the good life, you know, get you on the show, something. If you see me, fuck with me. Again, I do appreciate you all for being here. G2S the lifestyle, G2S the movement, G2S the motherfucking wave. You know the vibrations. Fuck with me. Peace.
No one loves you like that. No one wants you the same way. Up till the morning, my head wants to turn from your loving. I just wanna get you beside